Oh, hi everybody, Ezra Levant here. How you doing? I am the president of Rebel News, and every day at 12 noon we have a live stream show. Welcome to it. I sit in the chair Monday, Wednesday, Friday. My colleagues do so Thursday and Tuesday. It's Remembrance Day. I think in the States they call it Veterans Day. And it's the day to commemorate those who died in battle. And in Canada in particular, it's the First World War, the Second World War II. Canadians fought in other wars, Korea, Boer War, etc. America, they have other wars that Canadians did not participate in. Both of our countries fought and died in Afghanistan. It's notable that Donald Trump did not start any new wars. Name one war he did. Name an attack he did other than on some terrorists. He killed al-Baghdadi, the boss of ISIS. He mopped up the Islamic State pretty quick. But generally, he's been bringing troops home. In fact, as recently as this past few days, you can see that it was the deep state that was slow-walking his bring the troops home. I showed you the other day that very sad news story of a father who had a certain beat he would patrol in Afghanistan, and now his son, an American soldier in Afghanistan would have a certain patrol, and now his son is taking over. That was actually a joke on The Onion or something. Because that is America's longest war. Of course, I'm not against wars when they are in the national interest and when all other recourses have been exhausted. But so many of the wars during the Obama administration were elective, had no real national interest or national purpose, and often were disastrous. The cure was far worse than the disease. I think the most obvious and sad example is that of Libya. Libya, I wouldn't want to live there myself, but under Muammar Gaddafi, he was a bad dude, he was a terrorist, but he reformed. He paid over $1 billion in compensation to his terrorist victims when he downed that flight over Lockerbie, Scotland. Have you ever heard of a terrorist paying $1 billion to settle the claims of people he killed? I've never heard of that before. He gave up his nascent weapons of mass destruction program, and he basically said to the West, I want back in, let me join the good guys. All right. I mean, he was no liberal Democrat, but he basically said, I'm going to keep a lid on Islamism. I'm going to make some compensation for the bad things we've done. They used to blow things up. And I want to switch teams, and he did. And why did Hillary, can we get the, we came, we saw, he's dead? Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, for some reason that is unfathomable to me, had him toppled. He was brutally tortured and assassinated. I'm going to show you Hillary Clinton laughing about it. I'm not going to show you the video captured of Muammar Gaddafi when he was actually found in like some culvert, and he was sexually attacked with a stick. It was one of the most horrible videos I've ever seen, and I have no affection for Muammar Gaddafi. It was just the most grotesque way to end. I'm sure he was that brutal with other people too, but this was what Hillary Clinton was laughing at. Do you have that little clip here? Take a look.
So, I mean, that is the land of unconfirmed.
Yes, we came, we saw, he died.
Did it have anything to do with your visit?
All right, so what replaced that? Was there some, founding fathers who were steeped in the ideas of liberty and limited government and the rule of law and constitutions? No, it was taken over by an associate terrorist group of ISIS. The place was overrun, open-air slave markets, but most importantly, the mass refugee migration into Europe. So I don't know if anything was solved by toppling the regime, but a lot of problems were caused. And to my regret, Canada was persuaded to join that military effort against Muammar Gaddafi. It mainly took the form of we had one Navy ship involved. But still, why? So that's under Obama, under Hillary Clinton, the deep state, they just attack anything, send our soldiers. Why again? What was the national interest and what do we achieve? And 20 years later, is Afghanistan any different, any better, any more liberal, any more democratic? Not sure. But those, what's the poem? Yours is not to reason why, yours is to do or die. I mean, being a soldier is a terrible job. It's a necessary job when it's not a war of choice, when it's a war for survival, a war for freedom, which the Second World War most certainly was, stopping imperial evil in the form of both Nazi Germany and the Japanese Empire. World War I, it's a little foggier to me what Canada's interest was. That was more a great game diplomatic failure, I think. Absolutely bloody. But they did die for our system, our way of life. And it's not up to the rank and file to question those decisions when in uniform. When you're in the Army, yours is to do. And countless thousands of Canadians and millions around the world have died, and Remembrance Day is the day to remember that and to remember them. And it's like a funeral that we were all a part of. We were all part of a large family. And it's the annual memorial, very short, but for a couple minutes we're silent. And if we can, we go lay a wreath. But I want to show you what happened in London, England today. The UK paid a heavy price. They are much more proximate to both world wars. They were actually attacked, never invaded, but attacked by V-1 and V-2 rockets, by the Luftwaffe, the Nazi Air Force that bombed London mercilessly. There were a lot of British soldiers in France that were evacuated in the miracle of Dunkirk. And of course the Brits had their beach on Normandy on D-Day. I think theirs was Sword. Our Canadian beach was Juno. The American beaches were Omaha and Utah Beach. These were the code names for the beaches. I just saw the movie 1919 a few weeks ago. I really recommend it, by the way, just to see the horror of that war. So putting aside the politics of these wars, putting aside for the moment the fact that Donald Trump did not start any wars, first president in 2 generations not to start any wars. Remembrance Day is the day where we don't get into the minutiae of the politics of the wars. We think about the people who actually died in Iraq, in peacekeeping missions, mainly in the Great Wars. And I want to show you what Greta Thunberg's street teams, her street gang, her street thugs in London did. So these cenotaphs, these memorials, there's the tradition of laying a wreath. I've laid a wreath before. It's a symbolic remembrance. It's a symbol, and you lay it respectfully on the memorial, and you do so quietly and somberly, and it's about you showing respect for the dead. That's what it's about. And you are not the center of the action. Remembering the dead is the center of it. And with that in mind, look at what Greta Thunberg's global warming activists did in London today. Act now. Climate change means war. And they stood there for their photo op. So it wasn't about the war, Dad. Climate change has nothing to do with the wars, has nothing to do with those who died. Nothing to do with World War I or World War II, the two wars that took the most lives in the UK. Climate change is not, there's no connection whatsoever. There's the metaphor, climate change means war. No, it doesn't actually. And it certainly doesn't mean stepping over the wreaths for the war dead and putting your wreath above them all. Act now. Act now. Is that what Remembrance Day is? For you to have a little political ad? For you to use dead soldiers as your background set? As your backdrop for your photo op? What a deep, deep disgrace. And anyone who ever again has any truck or trade with Extinction Rebellion must answer for this. This is such a disqualifying moment. This is such a deep disgrace and a deep insult. And my friend Sheila Gunn Reid reminds me, can you grab a picture of the Westboro Baptist Church? There's this kooky church that is basically one family that runs it. But it gets so much attention because they're so outlandish and so outrageous. And they call themselves the Westboro Baptist Church. And they have political protests at people's funerals. And their typical sign, let's see if we can get some of the images. I'll read them. I won't. Yeah, like zoom in on some of them. You're going to hell. Thank God for dead soldiers. God is America. God hates Obama. God hates your feeling. Your pastor is a whore. Like, this is insane stuff. Don't worship. What are you, like, this is the rantings of madmen. Now, some of these are just in some city park, whatever. But they will literally go to funerals. They crash funerals of actual fallen soldiers. When people are burying a father, a son, a brother, they go to the funeral with their grotesque signs. Not blessed, just cursed. You're going to hell. I mean, it's gross enough if they're just on some street corner. But they did this at funerals? You can see the headline there in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, ruling doesn't quiet funeral protest battle. I'm all for free speech, but at a funeral. I remember a story of a bunch of soldiers sort of linking arms around a funeral to block those kooks from attending. Can you tell me the difference between Greta Thunberg's Extinction Rebellion thugs literally stepping over the wreaths of the war dead to have a propaganda moment, a photo shoot? Act now. Climate change means war. You can donate online. Can you tell me any significant, any moral difference between that and the Westboro Baptist Church funeral protesters that I just showed you? I can tell you a difference. The difference is the Extinction Rebellion is supported by governments, is protected by police, has access to our school children in the curriculums, is allowed unfettered, unsupervised, unbalanced access to kids. I don't think they should be treated as a terrorist group, although they do commit crimes as a criminal organization. Remember those videos we did when they stopped the trains in London and one guy went on the roof and he was pulled down? Can you see if you can find that? I know I did a video on that was very, very popular. different countries have, I want to take a second on this. I see some super chats. I'll get to them, I promise. The Canadian Criminal Code has something called a criminal organization. Keep looking for the vids, and then I'll ask you to call up criminal organization in the criminal code. And in the United States, there's a similar law called the RICO statutes. You ever heard the RICO statute? That's an acronym, Racketeer Influence Corrupt Organization, I think that's what it stands for. Basically, it was a law that was brought in to help fight gangs, to help fight the mafia, really. Because how do you deal, how could you get proof of crimes when everyone is omerta, and when everyone is silent and no one will snitch on the other, right? How do you crack a crime family? How do you crack a biker gang? So the Racketeer Influence Corrupt Organizations, the RICO laws, were sort of a way of saying that's a criminal organization. It's an organization, it has membership, it has rules, it has symbols. Yeah, so that's for the UK. Organized crime group participating in, okay, that's in the UK, thank you very much. This is new to me, interpretation. The OCG is defined, the organized crime group. Yeah, zoom in, I haven't seen this British version, zoom in, let's read it together. An organized crime group is defined as a group that has at its purpose, or one of its purposes, the carrying on of criminal activities, and consists of 3 or more people who agree to act together to further that purpose. It is not necessary for the individual participating in the organized crime group criminal activities to know any of the group members' criminal activities. Are an offense punishable on conviction or indictment for a term of 7 years or more. These activities must be carried out with a view to obtaining a gain or benefit. This is not limited to a financial benefit and would include, for example, sexual gratification. So this could be used to go after rape gangs, elements of the offense, mental element, defenses, proceeds of crime. Thanks very much. Good work to find that. I wasn't even thinking that. I was thinking the Canadian one, the British one. So you can see that could be used to go after a gang like Hell's Angels, the Mafia, Cosa Nostra. That sexual gratification point is very relevant to the UK because of the mass rape, repeated rape of young girls by rape gangs. Very relevant. And what about groups like Extinction Rebellion that carry on crimes as one of their activities for the purposes of a gain, either donations or, as was pointed out, there doesn't have to be a financial gain. So I want to show you a video, and it sounds like Justin's found it. Breaking into the War Memorial, I don't even think that was breaking in, they just walked around a gate, stepping over wreaths and putting your advertisement. Like seriously, would you have drink Coke or buy an Apple cell phone? You know, can you imagine how gross that would be? Well, that's what Extinction Rebellion just did. They put their ad on a grave. It's not an actual grave, but it's a memorial there. They do this all the time, though. Here's a footage. I hope this is the one that I have in mind. So what they did this morning in London was grotesque, anti-human, the depth of unkindness, showing a cold and small heart. But it would not be a crime that you would get 7 years for. But look at this. And the thing I hate the most about Extinction Rebellion is that they're posh, leftist, college, woke activists, many with fancy accents in the UK and trust funds and rich kids. And they punish working class people. I want to show you. They thought they would shut down, this was before the pandemic, they thought they would shut down the subway lines. As you know, the Tube in London is comparable, probably even, in fact, I think it is better, more impressive, more useful than the New York City subway. New York City subways are amazing. But I'm going to give it to London because you simply, I mean, and it's connected to all the trains and the New York City subway is outstanding, but the tube in London, the underground, is so essential to the success of that city and so essential for people to get to work, especially working people. And by that I mean working class, not the posh toffs who are having a lark for Twitter clout. So Extinction Rebellion, the folks you just saw stepping over funeral wreaths, they thought they would shut down a subway line and film themselves and make it into some sort of viral video for Extinction Rebellion takes over. First of all, why are you doing that to working class people? Second of all, this is public transit. This is what you say you're in favor of. Third of all, why are you doing something so stupid? And there's this point, if this is the video, I think it is, where they say, oh, no, we don't hate you guys. We're just making it, like, and watch the working men and women of London push back against these little Greta Thunberg, soy milk drinking, leftist snobs. If this is a video, I think it is. I think you know the one I mean. Let's take a look right now. You know, there's another shot where the videographer is found. It might be in that same video. Can you get that one too? So I hope you understood what was going on there. There were probably close to 1,000 people on that subway station there. Would you agree with me? Like, it was jam-packed because these idiots from Extinction Rebellion were stopping the trains. And it was young working class people of every race and background trying to get to work, and some rich kid, Greta Thunberg staffer, whatever, wannabe, supporter, fanboy, whatever, is having a stop, guys, we're stopping the trains for the climate. And they pulled him down, and obviously they didn't kick him and beat him too much. You could see him there at the end, he was standing up. But you see the rage against him. There's actually, I think, a better clip. Do you have that other clip now? The videographer? Yeah, take a look. It sure is a noisy beep. I think we put that in for swearing to cover the swearing up. So those, you could see those were the professional Extinction Rebellion videographers who were there to capture the moment and make an ad. So they took care of the thug on top of the train, didn't they? And then they spotted the cameramen. Is there another clip where they say, hey guys, sorry, this isn't meant to you? Is that in my same video there? There's one, it might even be another third clip. Let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at that one more clip. I promise I'll come back to your super chats. That's a promise. Here's one more clip. Yeah.
You guys are not the target. I'm so sorry. What do you mean?
Yeah, so you can see that was when they first said, hey, we're not against you guys. We're just using you as the victims here. Hey, it's okay, guys. We're with Greta Thunberg and Extinction Rebellion, so we're going to make you late for work. You might get fired. Maybe you have a doctor's appointment. You're going to have to miss it. Sorry, guys. Maybe you have to pick up in the morning, so you're not going to pick up a kid to school. Maybe you're taking your kid to school. Whatever you 1,000 working class chavs are doing, sorry. Because, we've got this art school assignment of doing an Extinction Rebellion video, and we thought this would be really cool. So sorry, guys. And then you saw the other two videos of when the working class said, nah, mate. Nah, not today, mate. And it's hard to have any sympathy for them being pulled down and kicked and shoved, isn't it? And now they're stepping, literally, show me the viz of that thing this morning again. Show the viz one more time. Stepping over, act now. Climate change means war. No, it doesn't, you liars. Is that even a soldier wearing the camouflage there? Anyone can buy camouflage, but is that a uniform? Is that person actually wearing a military uniform, and if so, is he actually in the armed forces? Is that stolen valor, or is it worse? Stepping over the other wreaths to put your ad there. You may as well put an ad there for Coca-Cola or Samsung or Red Bull or whatever. Honor their sacrifice. You disgraceful, disgusting liars. You just dishonored their sacrifice. Never for the rest of your life let Extinction Rebellion have a moment where you don't ask them about this great disgrace. For the rest of your life, if you ever hear that word, Extinction Rebellion, you must raise this issue. Whoever brings it up, however the subject comes up, you must remember this moment. Let that be a remembrance. All right, we're going to catch up with some of the super chats now. Sativa and meat, $10. Homeless, no virus, no washrooms, low nutrition, bad living conditions. The famous and rich get the virus, clean conditions, good nutrition, best of doctors. It's all a lie. You know what? I was looking at the stats this morning because there's all these stories about this huge wave of deaths. It is true that 68 people died yesterday in Canada, a country of 38 million people. But if you break it down, 38 of those deaths were in the province of Quebec. This is a Quebec problem. It's not a Canada problem. There are some deaths in Canada, but those deaths are so low, it's below the annual flu count, the annual flu season. Yeah, look at this. So this is today's stats. You have 10,669 deaths total in the country. Can you type in, can you just do COVID cases? Take out the word Ontario, because I want to show all the whole, oh, maybe you got it there already. Sorry, you do have it there. Yeah, could you zoom in just a tiny bit there? So as you can see there, you've had 10,669 deaths in Canada since the beginning. But look at that, 6,493 are from the province of Quebec. And just yesterday, as you can see, there were 68 deaths, 38 of them from the province of Quebec. So Quebec, which has roughly 1/4 of Canada's population, has 55, 60, actually I think it's 61% to be precise. Quebec has 61% of Canada's deaths since the beginning. So if you take Quebec's numbers out of this, for the rest of the country, it's pretty much on par with the annual flu season. You take Quebec and Ontario out of it, you're taking 92%, 91, 92% of the cases out. So the rest of the country, it's almost a rounding error. And I'm not saying that any death is a happy thing or should be ignored, but every year people die. They die of heart attacks, they die of strokes, they die of cancer, they die of accidents, they die of suicide, they die of drug overdoses. And these statistics here, I mean, even with the Quebec numbers in, they're only marginally higher than an average flu season. Flu in Canada is between 6,500 and 8,500 deaths a year. So this is a bit higher than the flu. But as you can see, it's dominated by Quebec because they have a euthanasia policy. They have a do not revive policy. Frankly, they love getting rid of their seniors. Sorry, that's pretty much their law. In fact, just last year, they passed laws to greatly enable euthanasia. Sorry if you don't like to hear that, but it's true. The average age of death is over 80. The average place of death, again, more than 80% are in these senior homes. So if you want to avoid the virus, I mean, I suppose you could wear a mask, the fibers of which are so large compared to the virus, it's like stopping a pea with a chain link fence. But if you really want to avoid the virus, my tip to you is stay as far away as you can from Quebec nursing homes. If you can stay out of a Quebec nursing home, you've just eliminated where most of the deaths happen. It's not funny. If you stay, it's not actually a disease of the old, it's a disease of the old in a nursing home. The Sting guy, $7. Did you see Doug Ford's McDonald's video where he wasn't wearing his poppy? What a hypocrite. No, I didn't see that. There it is. How are you here? Okay, scroll up just a tiny bit there. What's the wording there? From November 10th to 30th, McDonald's Canada is donating a portion of every purchase of fries to charity. All right, I don't even know why Doug Ford's even talking about this. He's got a few other things on the go. I want to tell you that my poppy falls out a lot. In fact, this just fell out yesterday. So maybe, but he should have redone it. So some of his staff should have had him redo it. But my larger point is, that's what you're focused on, Doug Ford? That's your big focus right now. Everything else is going tickety-boo. Kyle O'Connor, $11. Hi, Ezra. 90% of Rebels YouTube videos aren't showing up in my sub, so I have to look them up manually. Do you have a comment or have heard similar stories? Thank you for your work. Greetings from Windsor, Ontario. Yes, we know this. I mean, look, we have 1.4 million subscribers. And we do a live stream, and the notification allegedly goes out. And I'm not saying we're scintillating and must-see TV, although obviously I believe in our work. But don't tell me that when you send a notification to 1.4 million people that you only get 1,000 people watching. I'm sorry, I don't believe that. We're suppressed. We have a contact at YouTube that we talk to from time to time, and she does her best. But most of the time she says, well, that's just the way it is, or here's the rule, or yes, that's true. And you're right. I mean, they have a policy that they have published, so it's not a secret. They throttle, or to use their word, de-boost sources they don't like, and they boost sources they do like. So on quite a few subjects, if you type in Rebel News, in fact, why don't you do it right now? Let's just do a little test, real time. Go to YouTube. Just go to the YouTube homepage. And open an incognito browser so you're not logged in or anything. Can you do that, or is that hard to do with the other? I want to show, let's just do an experiment right here, right now, that, because I found this very frustrating. We have some videos with over 1 million views, right? So you're in incognito. So type in Rebel News. I just type in Ezra Levant. Rebel News, Ezra Levant. Just, I'm just randomly, that's my name and that's Rebel News. So what comes up? Okay, you see, to my surprise, scroll down, the top two are ours. Then you have Andrew Scheer shuns Rebel News. And then you have, and that has 100,000 views. Is that really would that really come up as the third thing? I have videos that I've done that have 5 million views. Rebel News, Ezra Levant. But they have a CBC item about how we're under attack. And then look at the next one. The Right Perspective, YouTube Radicalization and Rebel Media. It's an Al Jazeera article, Al Jazeera video, just over 20,000 views, that is a atrocious attack on us. Really, so that's the fourth thing. Then I gave a speech at Ryerson, an interview, Ed the Sock, why I left the Rebel Media. So there's some stuff there that's Rebel News, but you see how the hate stuff is boosted. Now just take out my name. Just do Rebel Media, or Rebel News, and just take out my name. Okay, and scroll down a bit. And yeah, so there's an attack on us by Aboriginal People's TV Network, 2,600 views. And that's the third thing that comes up. Scroll down a little bit. Stop Bill, you know. Yeah, criticisms of us that 400, that one is not a criticism of us, that one at the top there. You do this one, do Key and Bexley, because you get particularly interesting results when you do that. So Rebel News, yeah, Key and Bexley, Rebel News. Okay, the first one's Rebel, the second one's Rebel, third one's Rebel. Okay, this one seems more normal. All right. Yeah, okay, it didn't happen on here. But I know that, for example, one of Kian's videos, his Greta video. Oh, do that. That'll prove it. That'll prove it. Do Kian Bexley, Greta Thunberg. Yeah. Well, look at that. Kian Bexley, Greta Thunberg. The first one is a CBC one. Greta met by supporters. 17,000 views. Why is that ahead of actual Kian Bexley videos, which are number 2 and number 3 there? And there's another CBC one with only 100,000 views. Kian, if you scroll up, that one that Kian did there, 1.6 million views. The one above 163,000. Why is it that the very first one there, go up to the tippy top, Kian Bexley, Greta Thunberg, why is the very first video a lame pro-Greta propaganda piece with just 17,000 views? Now we are number 2 and number 3 there. Scroll down a bit, scroll down a bit. And then there's CTV. Now there's still some Rebel stuff there, it's true. But what was the very first one? Now I want you to do the final test and we're going to move on. Do you see that one, Greta Thunberg and her handlers run from questions? I want you to literally copy that headline. Just scroll over it and copy that word for word. Yeah, just copy that and paste that up there exactly. Oh, you got some different words in there. I want to show you, because I've done this before. If you actually type in the precise headline, so first of all, it's got 1.6 million views, which is pretty cool. Second of all, it is, I mean, Kian Bexley's an unusual name. So look at that. Oh, you know, maybe it's changed. Because I've done that before, and the CBC one is the first. I complained to YouTube about that. Maybe they actually heard my complaint. So you cut and paste. Oh no, you did the wrong one. Greta Thunberg, yeah, that one. Yeah, sorry. You see this viral vid? Sorry, you see this viral vid here? Greta Thunberg and her handlers run from questions? Yeah. Okay, it works now. CBC's down to number 2 and number 3. My test hasn't gone exactly how I recall it, but I remember typing in word for word the Kian vid and it coming in 3rd. I actually called YouTube about that and kvetched a bit, and it looks like maybe they adjusted it. All right, I'm going to not take more time there, but you see how the algorithm boosts left-wing sources and suppresses Rebel sources. Literally the first video that comes up when you type in Rebel News is Andrew Scheer that loser, former leader of the Conservatives, saying, I'm not going to attack the Rebel News anymore. Oh, is that the, we've published 14,000 videos over 5.5 years. That's an interesting video. I don't dispute it. It's got 107,000 views. We've had more than 500 million views. Some of our videos, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 million views. Literally the first video is that Andrew Scheer complaining vid. No, that's someone's finger on the scale. Let me hurry up here. Mike Mayer, $5. As a vet that served in Afghanistan, Ezra, thank you and Rebels for standing up for what's right. Thanks very much. My show tonight is all about Remembrance Day. Lynn, $5. My friend in the UK says your link to Fight the Fines UK is blocked. I am very upset to hear that. I wonder if you can tell me what internet service provider that is. It would not surprise me if that was blocked by British Telecom or one of the particular providers. I'd like to know that because I'd like to challenge them. Frankly, I'd like to sue them. Sativa and me, $5. What are chemtrails? Well, I have not gone down that rabbit hole. I can tell you I got 99 problems and chemtrails ain't one. You want to know what my problems are? Justin Trudeau, Doug Ford, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, the media party, Greta Thunberg, the theory of global warming, China, Hunter Biden. I got 99 problems. Chemtrails ain't one. Yorgi, $5. Hey, Ezra, will ask you a non-political question. What should happen with Jeopardy after Trebek? Trebek even was the Canadian Army at one point. Yeah, he certainly was a man of dignity and personality and longevity, and he was well loved, and that's hard to do. And he had a sense of humor, but he kept it under control. He was never mean, almost never. And yeah, what a good egg. I don't know what should happen with Jeopardy. I mean, I would hope that they find someone in that vein, in that personality vein, but you know, who knows? Maybe they'll take someone and take it in a totally different direction. Some shows become synonymous with their host. Alex Trebek is certainly one of them. The Price is Right used to be Bob Barker, but things change and you can find a new host who can make it his own. I'm sure they'll do well. It's a great franchise. It was a fun show. It made being smart cool. Not smart, I mean, knowing trivia is not a kind of smarts. I suppose it is. I mean, it's like a dictionary. Knowing every piece of trivia is a kind of, it shows an interest in the world, is what it does. It shows a memory. And what I liked about Jeopardy is it always tested a breadth of knowledge. Sports, theater, history, politics, even math, pop culture. That's what made it fun. Wolfcat Wildcat, $5. Rico, American Dems and the Canadian Liberal Party. Well, I'm talking about real crimes, not political disagreements. And I don't believe in criminalizing political disagreements, because if you believe that, well, I promise you it'll be used against you one day. Redneck Lifestyle, $20. Keep up the good work you guys are doing. Well, I appreciate that. I'm upset about what I heard about our website being blocked in the UK. Billy McDonald, $10. Why stop trains? I thought trains were better than cars. They have said that public transit over cars but prevent you from taking the train. Hypocritical. You know what? Boy, they got theirs that day, didn't they? Donna Carter, $5. Keep up the fantastic work. Love you guys. Well, thank you, Donna. Bill Howie, $5. Rebels should join with True North, Western Standard, Post Millennial, and others to create a network like Newsmax and OAN as an all-day solution to the mainstream media. It would go viral. Well, I know all of those other institutions, and I have some contacts with all of them. We're very good friends with True North. That's Candace Malcolm, Andrew Lawton. In fact, we've even crowdfunded for both Candace and Andrew to come to the UK for Tommy Robinson's trials. Western Standard, you may not know this, but a dozen years ago I was published with Western Standard. We sold the name and it's run by a new group of guys, but I like what they're doing. Post Millennial, they're based in Montreal. They're more quick news hits, rewriting news stories. They do some original work. Sure, I follow them. They're very interesting in that they have a moderate conservative flavor, which in Canada is shockingly rare. And others, yeah, there are others. Spencer Fernando, The Breaker. Who are those guys in Toronto? Divergent, is that their name? Yeah, Diverge Media, I think. I met them once. They seem like good guys. In fact, the Independent Press Gallery, which Candace chairs, has 50 members, 50. So that's pretty cool. And there is the French side of this country. Choix FM, Radio X, Pirate Radio, Eric Duhem, Dominique Moret, Jeff Fillion. There is a freedom band of brothers in Quebec City that's actually tougher than any other group in Canada other than maybe Rebel News. That Quebec City radio group is tough. They fight hard. Okay, I think I've caught up to the super chats. Let's check the time. It's 12:45. Time flies. You know what? Because I'm 48 years old, I remember with great clarity the American invasion of Iraq. Desert Storm, if I recall, was the name of it. I was 19. I think it happened in 1991. Maybe under George H.W. Bush. Is that right? Boy, it's so long ago. So I remember the hullabaloo, and I remember there's some kids on my campus who were scared, where they'd be called up to war. It was such a quick war. I mean, really, you had the world's greatest military fighting a dilapidated, unmotivated, dictatorship rust bucket military. It was over extremely fast. It was shooting fish in a barrel. It was devastating. Like, it was really how fast could the tanks go from Kuwait or wherever they started. Or maybe I can't remember where they launched from. But there was a spokesman for Saddam Hussein who, I don't remember his real name, but he was given the nickname Baghdad Bob. Do you know who Baghdad Bob is, Justin? Can you grab a clip? Because for those under the age of 30, they might not know who Baghdad Bob is. What's that? He was Saddam Hussein's information minister, his spin doctor, I'm not going to compare him to Goebbels because I don't think he was as cruel or as evil, although Saddam was certainly cruel. He had rape rooms, he was brutal. But like Muammar Gaddafi, he was certainly better than what followed. So as the Americans, they were literally entering the capital. And this guy, here, turn out the volume. Can you get some sound?
To pass about 2 columns of some tanks. They were surrounded.
They were surrounded
and they were dealt with.
Most of them were treated by our forces.
And their columns were slaughtered. And this is this is to be meant verbatim. This is to be meant verbatim. We have fed them a sour taste yesterday, poison, and by the brave forces of Saddam Hussein. And in this meeting, I will not mention the total number of deaths and the total number of the tanks destroyed. The operations are still ongoing, and I can tell you, and you can record it on me that I have said that. They are beginning.
I won't make you watch anymore. He was, I think he gave interviews in English too. He would talk about the mother of all battles. He would talk about how he slaughtered the Americans. None of it was true. And he said it with such hyperbole and such superlative, we slaughtered the Americans. We made them taste poison. You could hear him there. We surrounded them. I'm not going to tell you how bad it was, but trust me, it was bad. And he became a comical figure. In fact, I think did they call him Comical Ali or something? I don't remember. They called him Baghdad Bob. I'm mixing up my spokesman. And literally Americans were in the outskirts of town where he's saying, we'll slaughter them. And I mentioned Baghdad Bob. I think they tried to put Baghdad Bob on trial for war crimes or something. I don't remember how his story ended. I think he might have been acquitted. I think he was just a useful idiot. I don't remember. Maybe he tried to get asylum somewhere. I don't remember my Baghdad Bob history. But I tell you that because I want to show you the front page of the New York Times. You got to look at this. You got to look at this. Look at the front page of the New York Times. Election officials nationwide find no fraud. Hey, guys, I mean, we've totally searched nationwide, and there's just no fraud. I mean, forget all these affidavits that are being filed in courts around the country. Forget the fact that there's now a hand recount in Georgia. Guys, there's no fraud. And don't take it from us. We talked to election officials nationwide, and they just found no fraud, guys. So can we just get on with... Did Baghdad Bob write that? Did Baghdad Bob write that? But look, if they've been lying for the last 4 years, why would they stop lying now? Now that it's down to the short strokes. I just thought that was quite something. I want to show you one more thing, and I think I talked about this the other day. Go to the Biden office of the president-elect. It's the office of the president-elect. There is no office. Let me read my tweet there. There is no such thing as the office of the president-elect, and if there was, he wouldn't be in it. The Electoral College has yet to choose. He might as well be standing in front of a sign that says, King of the Moon. Now that would be a hell of a kingdom. You would be very lonely if you were King of the Moon. But it would probably have more truth to it than self-declaring yourself the president-elect. Because the thing is, if you were on the moon and called yourself the king, who could dispute it? You're Lord of all you survey. You're the master of your domain. You're on the moon. There's no challengers. You want to recount? There's only one guy up there, and he voted for himself. The king of the moon has more legitimacy, factually, statistically, numerically, democratically, legally, constitutionally. Someone who calls himself the king of the moon, if he can just set foot on the moon, has more legitimacy than Joe Biden at this moment, self-declaring that he's the president-elect, because that is not how it works, Joe. The president-elect is the term of art that describes when you have been given sufficient votes by the elector. The elector being those in the Electoral College. I think there's 55 electors in California and 3 from Wyoming, and each state is a different number. It's actually the same number of their delegation in Congress. Those are the electors. So when you say president-elect, you're referring to the electors. They have not cast their election yet. The king of the moon has more democratic legitimacy and more just literal accuracy than that kook. But hey, guys, New York Times says they checked, and they checked really hard, guys. And there's just no evidence of fraud. These are the folks who ran with a 3-year lie about Russian collusion that was actually investigated by a team of lawyers, $50 million investigation, couldn't find a scrap of evidence of Russian collusion. But these guys are willing to say, oh, yeah, we checked really hard, guys, and there's just no election fraud here at all. Don't believe your lying eyes. Don't listen to the people who have sworn affidavits. Don't listen to that U.S. Postal Service worker who told about all the corruption there. We checked, and you can take it to the bank. The New York Times says there's no fraud. And look, Joe Biden himself is standing in front of a sign that says King of the Moon. Office of the President. So he's standing in front of the sign. Now, he made that sign. The office of the President-elect did not make that sign for him because there is no such office. That's not a thing. He just went down to like the Kinko's or the Office Depot and had someone make a sign that said Office of the President-elect, and they're all totally into that. I find that quite something. A couple super chats coming in, I hear. Greg Graham, $5. Is anyone looking into the Dominion machines? Rudy Giuliani mentioned them yesterday, apparently used in Canada, full of glitches. I've heard this. I haven't had the time to look into it. I don't think that's how we vote here. Is that how we vote here? I don't think that's how we. I don't know what the Dominion voting machine does. So let me check. Repinerator Nautabot, $7. Keep up the great work and telling the true side of the story. Well, thank you. Pakistani Penguin, $5. Hey, Ezra, if you guys are so pro-free speech, why are you and Keane suing people for criticizing Rebel? Well, I really appreciate this question, and I really like it when we get skeptical or critical questions on these super chats. I like to call them an Ask Me Anything. I don't want to talk about cases before the courts because, you know, if you're in the courts, that's where you do your talking. You do it through pleadings or other filings in court, and then you do it in a trial. But I want to draw a distinction. People criticize me and Rebel News and Keane every day, probably even every hour, maybe even every minute. Literally thousands. You saw there as we went through the YouTube, the countless critics that we have. We don't sue critics. We like critics. In fact, if anything, we try and get critics to come on the show. The left doesn't really believe in debate anymore. They believe in deplatforming. So we don't have as much opportunity to debate critics as when I was a student, when it was assumed if you were interested in public life, you would debate everyone, you would go to debates. The idea of saying to a political party they could not participate in a debate or a candidate could not participate, it was unheard of back then, but we're in a different time now. Where we draw the line is on defamatory statements that cause us damage. And again, I'm not going to refer to any particular case, but for example, if you were to say, hey, you guys stole money from a charity. Well, that's a factual statement now. That's not a political opinion. And if someone believes you that we stole money from a charity, God forbid, that would be defamatory. That's not journalism. And that could have a real effect. And by the way, we raise an enormous amount of money for charity. So I'm not going to get into any particular cases, but it's true that we have had some litigation. And it's not for critics. I love critics. I engage with them. Unless they get really, really malicious and negative, then I just block them. But I want to draw a distinction between suing someone because they criticize you, we don't do that, versus suing someone because they say a malicious, defamatory, factual falsehood that is damaging. I mean, you don't sue someone just because they rant on Twitter in a harmless, shouting into a hurricane. But if someone does something in a way that is actually damaging, you do it. So I don't think that's inconsistent, but if you disagree with me, fair enough. Captain Steve, £5. Have you looked into Maidengate? Votes made in old names of people, fake votes. I haven't heard the phrase Maidengate, but I know that there were a lot of rosters of dead people that were registered to vote. C128 OPR, $5. New York Times, all the news that's fit to line a birdcage, no election fraud, move along, nothing to see, let's get on with the coronation. Yet, put the shoe on the other foot. Do you think for a second that if Trump were ahead and Biden had questions that they would run that headline? Muzzle flash, $5. My estimate, 1, Trump wins. 2, leftists go insane and riot. 3, army deployed. 4, Operation Warp Speed implemented. What do you think, Ezra? What worries me is that there are elements of the deep state who are actively against Trump. I mean, you saw that Trump dispatched his Secretary of Defense and various undersecretaries. We saw that the former head of the CIA, was it Brennan, who said, oh, we got to stop Trump from releasing information about us or something. So there are still elements within the CIA, the FBI, and I even think within the military that have never accepted the legitimacy of Trump's win 4 years ago. And when you have the media for weeks have a drumbeat of Biden won, there's no fraud, Biden won, there's no fraud, he's the president-elect, look, there's even a sign that says so. So for weeks you lay down layers of sediment in the narrative. There's no fraud, Trump's crazy, Biden won. No fraud, Trump's crazy, Biden won. And let's say, I think it's a long shot, but let's say Trump wins, gets a recount, overturns this, media coronation. There will absolutely be riots. There would be anyways. But after the media says for weeks, oh, no, Biden won fair and square, no fraud. And who knows what some of these CIA, FBI, military, deep staters would do. Who knows? I mean, we've shown they'll do anything. They'll perjure themselves. They'll abuse process. They'll set up the president and his staff. I think they would do insane things if Trump won. I don't know if he's going to win. Right now, I look at all the betting odds. The odds say that Trump's not going to win. Here's another question. My friend Herman Nielsen. Hey, Herman, how you doing? $5. Any update on the Ottawa lawsuit for access? We have 2 Ottawa lawsuits for access. One of them is access to the morning scrums outside Rideau Cottage. No success there, I'm afraid to say. In fact, we've had a setback there. I don't know if the thing is moot, because I think those scrums are over now. So we did not have success there. We are still in court against Ottawa over the Election Debates Commission, and that continues. I saw just last week that Trudeau reappointed the Election Debates Commission. They will surely ban us again, so we're actually still in a judicial review there. Dame of the Dam, it's $5. The head of the Elections Fraud Department resigned in the U.S. upon an inquiry being held. I don't think it was nationwide, but I think that might have been in Pennsylvania or Philadelphia. I saw that headline too. All right, my friends, it's 1:01. Thank you for being here today. We covered some ground. Do you have a dog video today? We like to show dog videos. Generally, Justin curates them, and we do it because it's a nice way to end, especially in these troubled times. So here's the dog video. Take a look.
Look, Jennifer. Look, Jennifer.